So we have three things today. We have Daniel here making an announcement. We have the development outreach circle, the new development outreach circle, making another announcement. And whatever time is left, I will easily fill with any presentation, with a long presentation on the new RFP process, and also what we discussed, the community-driven RFP process that we discussed also in the work group on that topic. So yeah, there's a lot going on in Singularity in Deep Funding on the organizational front. We're creating new circles. We're having a number of work groups. We're thinking about Deep Funding Round 5. We're thinking about the architecture of all the things. We're thinking about RFPs and collaboration portal. So if it may look quiet from the outside, there's really a lot going on the inside. But yeah, all of that will be more visible in due time. So with that short announcement from my side, I'd like to give the stage to Daniel, because Daniel, you don't have too much time, I heard. So please.
Thank you. And hello, everyone. Could I have the permission to share screen, please?
Yes, of course.
So anyway, I'm here to show you something that's been funded by SingularityNET that is now ready to be deployed in the community. So I believe it was deployed before. I need to sync with the community management team to see if it's available right now, but if not, within a week or so. Anyway, we just need to give people permission. But essentially, there is the Together Crew dashboard where you can see some analytics, you can see the network map of the community, you can see some stats about community health and so on. But the thing that I want to show you is specifically Hivemind, which is a knowledge management tool. So within Hivemind, and I don't know why this is a little bit slow right now, but essentially we have integrated in the community settings, we have integrated Discord data, we can integrate GitHub, Notion, Wikimedia, etc. And then that data is ready to be used by the bot to ask questions like, what is Hivemind? And then within a few seconds, the bot takes a question, breaks it down into subtasks, searches all the community knowledge, and then aggregates the answers together back into a comprehensive answer. And so these can be used for anyone wanting to onboard anyone as well, asking questions. So he's saying Hivemind is a future tool used for answering questions based on data like messages on Discord and GitHub activity. It is measured in the context of Together Crew, suggesting maybe part of their platform or services. So this was just generated live from our conversations. There is not even a need to create documentation. It's just based on what people are discussing every day. And you could ask it, for example, if you go on holidays or if you didn't check, what did the community discuss last month? And same thing, within a few seconds, it can give you a summary as well. You could ask very specifically what marketing initiatives are happening, what are people complaining about, what are people happy about, what new announcements have happened, or anything related to that. And as I'm saying, I'll have to double check with the community team if the bot is enabled. But otherwise, the technology is live and operating, and all of you will be able to use it just by typing /question and then activating the command. And so that's it from my side. I'll try to confirm that the bot is deployed very soon, and then take it from there and let you know, guys, if you want to try it, and give it a spin and ask any questions or any message that you have lost and are looking for, etc. Thank you.
Looks great. Can I ask one question? Where exactly will the bot be deployed? In the SingularityNET environment, or the Deep Funding Discord, or?
I guess in the SingularityNET Discord, but it can be deployed in both. It's really for the community admins to decide. So I just I just need to sync with them to know what they think is best. And then they can change it, and also they can add other admins, or they can choose which channels are being read, etc.
Okay, and it takes its knowledge also from the same environment, from Discord.
It can be configured. So you can, in practice, yes, but you can add many other data sources. So right now, Discord, GitHub, Notion, and Wikimedia are enabled. We're toying with the idea of adding the peer-to-peer foundation knowledge base, which has 15,000 articles on human collaboration. So we could ask it all kind of questions about that. And then Google Drive is going to come live soon. Telegram is being worked on, and Discord is being worked on as well. In the future, we could also include, for example, the SingularityNET portal, and it could answer questions about proposals that have been made and stuff like that. But that data pipeline still needs to be built.
Looking forward to see that knowledge graph being created and then linked to this as well. And yeah, I think that would be a great asset. Thank you. I see Rojo also had a question.
Yeah, I was wondering if the platform basically has a public API for possible extensions. For example, Deep Funding has a lot of things going on Mattermost, and I don't think it's in your plans to probably use Mattermost anytime soon. So is there any plans, for example, to give the community access so that they can develop other extensions that maybe the core team is not able to, doesn't have the time to tackle?
Yeah, the tool is open source and the architecture is super modular. We were precisely wanting to encourage this to happen. So if anyone wants to build a Mattermost integration or any other platform, or anyone wants to include the voting portal or whatever it is, just reach out to us and we'll help you understand how to go about it. But yeah, any developer that wants can submit it. We'll just make sure that the code is not malevolent and then integrated to the main repo.
Nice. Thank you for sharing, Daniel. That's great news.
Yeah, no, thank you very much for listening. And yeah, I hope that you can enjoy it soon.
Yeah, we'll take it for a test spin. Looking forward to that.
Yep. Okay.
All right, then the next in line would be, so who will do the presentation, Ubio, on the developer outreach?
We have Gabriel here, so Gabriel will do the presentation.
I haven't heard from Andrea. I think because, again, she didn't know what time this was going to be, so she wasn't able to schedule it with the other stuff.
Is it just me? But I can't hear Gabriel speaking.
Andrea, I haven't heard from her today. She didn't know what time the meeting was, and she's probably had to do other things. So we really need to get this calendar pre-announcement going so folks know exactly when things are, so they can book the rest of what they have to do around it. So she's not here. Ubia, I think you probably have more of the exact details than I do. I was just going to introduce at a higher level, but you can cover that if you want to.
Yeah, if it's not the right moment for you, or you don't have the right material,
Okay, all right,
well,
that's still fine.
Next week.
Okay, I think then that worked, because I wanted us to do it with a presentation to showcase what we've done and all that. So that's why I wanted Andrea and Gabriel to work on it. But yeah, let's do it with a presentation and do it well, because what's doing is what doing well.
All right. Well, then let's do it next week, or if that's possible, and do it properly and give a good presentation, rather than try to go through it half-baked today. Unless there's something urgent, of course. But if you think you can spare another week, then no problem doing that. Yeah, Gabriel, regarding the announcements, etc. Not sure where the issue is exactly. One thing that I do know is we are working on that community website. I think it should be the last date I got today is that it should be available in about 6 weeks or so. So then we'll have a community website and it will have a calendar and you will see ahead in time what is this week, next week, the week after that. At the same time, we're also splitting off our town hall from the marketing circle and make that a dedicated circle. So they will have a lot of things to do and also ideate and keep also this website up to date, I think. We'll need to figure out exactly how we will do it and how we will also format town halls in the future. But with this new circle, I think we can also, make the best out of that.
I just wanted to add some comments to what Gabriel said there. So I think right now the circles are beginning to grow and we are having people join circles that probably do not come through town halls and are not necessarily proposals and all that. So a lot of these people don't have this information. I think for us, in retrospect, I would say we in the circles also have to use the opportunity to educate people as well on the culture of the community as well. So I think that was we made a mistake, for example, to presume that Andre knows when we meet and everything. And this is not specific to her. This can as well be the culture of what's happening everywhere else. So I think it also behoves on us as circle members that as people join us, maybe towards the end of our calls, we use 2-3 minutes to reiterate on the calendar and let people understand what's going on in the community as well.
Yeah, good point. We can all contribute to the proliferation and distribution of that knowledge. But yeah, having good platforms, good tools help. Like mentioned, like Juan Pablo mentioned, we did publish it on Telegram and on Discord and on LinkedIn and on Twitter. But I think one of the issues is also that we only message about it. And often we message about it 1 or 2 days in advance. And you might miss such a message too. So it will be good to have one single source of truth, one page or area where you can always go and see what's going on, what's the next event and the event after that and after that in advance. And maybe we'll have a theme already or something like that. So that people can be prepared. It's not just communicating events when they occur, but it's also scheduling and letting people know in advance what's going to happen next week or the week after. But yeah, these are one of the things that we are working on, and it needs a little bit more time and attention and love, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so then the third topic for today would be the RFP process. I did this the same or similar presentation yesterday in the All Circles. Probably a few of you were there. Not everybody. We actually have a larger group here today, so that's a good thing. If anybody thinks they are bored because they have heard it already before in the previous meeting or before that, feel free to skip off and do something that is more fun. And for those that are still stubborn enough to stay, I will start my presentation. So let's see. One moment. Yeah. I'll share my screen. Right. I'll put it on slideshow for now. I'll be skipping off this presentation to some other tabs, but so basically what I'm going to show you are the outcomes of the work group on the RFP process, and it consists of 3 parts. First, I want to do a short recap on the vision of RFP. So why are we doing this in the first place, and what are our expectations of this process? Then I will show you the things that we're already working on. So we have a short and an intermediate process for RFPs that we're already working on and that we're about to push live in a matter of weeks, I would say. And then we have the longest journey, which is the community-driven RFPs. And I would say that was not the only, but the main topic in the work group. So yeah, this is to present the work that we did and our vision. And looking forward to hear your feedback on that. So first, going back a little bit. So deep funding rounds, I think this is all, I hope this is all known to you, that this is not new, but you know, deep funding rounds, they have fixed days. We can do them 2 or 3 times a year. They are open and free for everybody. We can get surprised by the things, and we are sometimes surprised by the ideas coming in. And it is 100% community driven. Proposal, voting, and even the governance is more and more community driven. RFPs, on the other hand, when we will have them, they will be ongoing, not just a couple of times a year, but there will be room to publish an RFP on any day of the year. Therefore, they have a quicker turnaround because they have a less lengthy process than a round, although there is some flexibility there. We will focus the RFPs in the selection process. We will make sure that they are aligned to our strategic vision and what is needed and what is most urgent and important in deep funding and SingularityNET. They will also, these RFP will come with detailed specifications. So if you compare it to a pool in a round that is very wide, almost anything goes. There are very few restrictions. On RFPs, it's the other way around. It will be very detailed. There's some room for flexibility. Again, more flexibility in the selection process. But I'll tell you about that a little bit later. So this is kind of a gated process. So I'm borrowing that term of you got me inspired, Gabriel. It's a gated process. You have to go through a couple of steps. And due to that and the strategic alignment with what we're doing in SingularityNET and deep funding and the detailed requirements, we think this might also lead to projects that will have higher budgets than a regular deep funding round. But that is something that will evolve over time. And also depends on what happens in the deep funding rounds, by the way. In general, you could say that RFPs bring opportunities for community collaboration. So the community teams or agencies can collaborate on things like OpenCog Hyperon or the AI platform or other SingularityNET projects. So what RFPs will add as a feature to deep funding is that it will allow that it has this new function, basically the function of an outsourcing portal. We can start using deep funding as an outsourcing portal for SingularityNET, for work that SingularityNET would like to outsource to the community. But we can also do that with partners and even third parties. And depending on who is providing the budget and who is creating the RFP, there is a range on going from fully decentralized to centralized. So the community-driven RFPs, the process that we discussed with the work group, will still be very decentralized. Not completely, mainly, maybe, but pretty much so. where I can imagine it, on the other end of the spectrum, a third party using Deep Funding as an outsourcing portal someday in the future, that could be pretty centralized, but then they will also be bringing their own budget. So the main reason why we're doing it is, or the approach is that we are decoupling stages in development. So this is the gated process I was already referring to. So first we try to answer the question, which idea is best? And then answer the question, okay, if we know the best idea, who would best be able to make a proper definition of this idea and elaborate on it? And then when we have answered that question, we ask what would be the best team to successfully develop this based on this definition. So by decoupling it, by having different, potentially different units or entities or teams or people involved in different stages of this process, and by having this gate on each part of the process, making sure that only the best options go forward, we hope to increase the value of the outcomes of that process. So a short message on RFPs. The title here is The Art of Creating an RFP, because I think it's a kind of an art to create a real good RFP. So that will be part of the challenge, to create really good RFPs. And a good RFP needs to be strict enough so that we can easily filter out teams and proposals that are not high quality enough or that don't comply to all the conditions. Maybe we can even automate that to some extent in the future if we get a lot of proposals to any RFP. It should also be detailed enough to ensure that it delivers what we want it to be, and that it, for instance, can be seamlessly integrated with the tech stack that is already there and so on. So strict and detailed, but on the other hand, there needs to be some kind of balance, and it still needs to have some openness to allow for creativity for the team that will develop it. So that is a kind of balance, and that is also where part of the art is. So it takes effort, but it's an investment in good outcomes. So this is a very slimmed down conceptual version of the process end to end. So we start with ideation, then we have RFP creation, and what this slide shows is that this ideation and RFP creation is part of the community-driven RFP process, which will lead to development proposals. But we can also have SingularityNET RFPs or jointly funded partner RFPs, or maybe in some point in future, completely third-party RFPs that like our platform so much and our community and everything around it that they think it could be useful for them as well. But these three would start with a ready RFP. The process would start with an RFP that is already created. So SingularityNET is currently actually creating quite a number of RFPs, I heard yesterday. So that's very exciting, also around OpenCog Hyperon. And they're doing that by themselves, and we will publish them. But where the community is involved, we can start with ideas, and then we can do the RFP creation, etc. So this is the high level overview, and I'll drill down in that a little bit later. One more thing here is that in the trajectory where we start with with a ready RFP, there are still two variations. Here they are called route A and route B, but I also could call them, or I often call them, short track and medium track. So the short track would be SingularityNET creates an RFP, for instance. We will get a number of proposals to that RFP. The team or the person that is responsible for creating the RFP will select the best proposals, and we're done. That's it. You can't do it much quicker than that. Another version of this route, and this is something we also discussed in more detail with the work group already, is that we will have a two-step phase. So the team that created the RFP would first filter it down to, let's say there are 10 proposals coming in, and then they will filter it back to 4 proposals of which they think these are adequate, these are good enough. And then we'll have some community involvement in deciding which of these 4 will ultimately be rewarded. So that would be a 2-stage process. And I will explain this in much more detail later on in the presentation. So this is all stuff that we thought about a while ago already, and we have fine-tuned that a little bit, especially this route B, the medium track, with the work group. But this was already there. This was all part of the thinking. So then I can show you a little bit about the current status and where we are today. I'll show you a few screens here on the slides, but then I'll also show them in clickable version or even on staging. So this is very quick, but I'll show it to you later in a different environment. This is the main menu. We've really overhauled that. So it ties into the idea that we have different kinds of proposal, that we have this RFP creation process, that's the community-based process, and an area for my projects. The dashboard, if you are used to creating, if you have created an RFP, a proposal before, you will see that the dashboard is completely different right now. So we have now the menu on the left side, and I'll show you that a little bit later. We have a new area for RFPs. We call them active RFPs because they are actually past the stage of ideation and so on. We have an RFP detail page, and here we have a page with RFP proposals. So showing you that you have a mental picture of the things that we have been developing. And I can show you this right now. I think the easiest way is to use the InVision click demo. So, oh, wait a minute. So here is this is what the menu would like. So we have awarded projects that will, then you will be taken. Well, let's go from right to left, actually. RFP creation. So there would be an area where you can see all the ideas that are being created. There would be an area where you can see and already comment and give feedback on RFPs that are being created, but not completely finished. RFP committee might be not quite sure if we will have that there. I'll tell that later. And proposals, we will split. So the whole thinking about this new iteration is that we are splitting the areas where you can work with RFPs and the areas where you can work with rounds. So they are decoupled as well. So you have an area for RFP proposals and an area for round proposals. And then in awarded projects, we'll put everything together, and it doesn't matter whether it comes from an RFP or from a round. Those are all the things that are being awarded. And my projects is the same as the one on the top. It will bring you to this dashboard. And the dashboard has a lot of options. You can see all the proposals that you're. So let's first have this screen. So here are the notifications for the next round, and you can see some information about currently open RFPs. If you go down, you will see notifications that are relevant for you and some news items. That is the idea. But more important, maybe. Are the proposals. So here you will have all your proposals. Now 56 seems a little bit excessive, but it would be possible from a functional point of view, but I think most people will have a few proposals there. But some of them may be live, some of them may be in draft mode or offline or even rejected for some reason. And this would be one on a regular round, and this would be a proposal related to an RFP. And what you can also see here at the top, you can submit an RFP proposal or you can submit a round proposal. And that means that the flows for creating a proposal are separated. We forked that proposal creation flow basically for the RFPs. It's still very much alike, but by forking it, it allows us to make some changes. And along the way, maybe they will be separated more because maybe RFPs will develop in a different way, or the proposal process will develop in a different way than the proposal process for regular rounds. So if I click here, and I haven't selected an RFP yet, then I can do that here. And here I get an overview of active RFPs that I can select. So this is a community RFP, so they are organized by type of RFP. We're very optimistic here that we have a lot of types and different RFPs at the same time. I could select it, and then you will see a kind of summary of this RFP with the main conditions and criteria. And I can also click View RFP, and then I can see all the details of that RFP. I can continue to the next step, and you will still see this high-level information to keep that always inside. And then you'll see a lot of other fields that, for people that were active in the previous round, will look quite familiar. But the exact fields that we want to have here, and but also the steps, milestone and budget and project team, are copies basically of the proposal view. But the exact fields and questions that we will have there can be a little bit different than in the current proposal flow. So those are proposals. Let's go to the RFPs. So I think, well, I won't call that out. But so here you have a page with active RFPs. So these are not proposals, these are RFPs. And RFPs have different stages. It can be open for proposal. So you can submit a proposal to that RFP. It can be in internal review, so the team, the submit period has ended, and the team that owns the RFP can review the proposals. And then they have two options. They can put it back in proposal in open state, or they can go on, either go in the short track, as I explained, and complete award a project. So then it goes to the complete and awarded stage, or they can have this intermediate track and ask some community representatives to give feedback, and then it would have this fourth stage. So this is the new view of the RFP overview page. And if I click on an RFP, you can see here, submit proposal. So if I submit proposal now, you will see that this RFP where I'm in is already pre-selected, so I don't have to go through that step anymore. Can I go back here? Yes. You will see the RFP status, so it's still 3 days, and if the status is different, it will show here as well, whether it's internal review, feedback, or whether it's completed. It will give you all the details here of the RFP. Oh, that's not visible yet. But there are some tags here. And what you can also see are proposals. Oh, that doesn't work here for some strange reason. I think it works here. Yeah. Let me take a sip of coffee. So if I go to the proposal tab within an RFP, I see all the proposals that are being submitted, that have been submitted to this RFP. And I'll click on one. And now this is important. We noticed in Deep Funding round that, let's say, half of the proposals are submitted in the last 36 hours or something of a round, no matter how long time that submission period is. And some feedback that I got is that some people are afraid that their idea might be copied by somebody else. And I can actually understand that. I think this problem would be even more serious for the RFP process. I see the regular rounds leaning a little bit more to B2C kind of situation, where RFP leans a little bit more to B2B situation. So I can imagine in RFPs that we will have relatively more professional agencies and teams submitting and putting a lot of time in it. And for an agency, time is money. So the last thing they want is to submit a proposal and then having their competitor look at it and doing a bid or stealing their idea or doing a bid that is influenced by what they are asking. So we have a locked state and an open state. So during the submission period, the regular public will only be able to see a few things. They will be able to see the title, the owner, and the summary. And anything else, this is information about the RFP. Anything else is locked, is invisible. Also, the funding request is invisible in the locked state. So while teams are submitting proposals, only the committee that is part of this RFP can see all the details, but the larger public won't be able to see it. Just like in the real world, I could say, where people would submit answer an RFP to some kind of agency, and there's a strict deadline, and they will just accept it, and there's no communication between these teams. And then after the submission period is ended, and then they will stay locked during the assessment period. And then when the assessment period is over and the team decides either that a proposal has won or they want to go to the extended part, then they can unlock all the proposals and then they will be visible for everybody. So then you will be able to see the funding request, and then you will be able to see all the other details that are part of that proposal. So that's an extra feature. Might see some of that in deep funding rounds as well. I don't know. That's a different topic. We'll see how it works in the RFP process first. So yeah, so this is the proposal. So I think I've had most of the things so everything you see here is being built. I can show you very quickly. So this is the staging environment. So they already removed the third part of this menu. Yesterday it was still there. But we don't have ideation, and so that will come later. So that's phased. We will start with a short track, and this should be ready in a couple of weeks, as I mentioned. So you will also see my projects in staging. It's pretty much like the InVision design, as you can see. You can see the proposals here. So this is all test content, obviously, but you get the idea. There's also on this menu information about project teams. So you as an individual might be part of multiple teams, or you might have open invites to teams. Then you will all see that here. And you could also be part of an RFP team. So we split that up. I think this might evolve a little bit over time, but you see this is a big break point, both from a navigation point of view and from a portal point of view, because we have now these two environments, one for deep funding rounds and one for the whole RFP environment. I'll take a big breath and then I'll go back to my presentation. Let me pour a little bit of tea. So I showed you these screens. This is what you might expect in a couple of weeks, and then we will fill it with some RFPs, and hopefully we'll have a lot of fun there. One thing that I didn't show yet, which is designed but not implemented yet, is a little bit revised version of the expert reviews, and it's revised for RFPs. There's a work group, not including me, but there's a work group led by Raphael that is going over all the requirements and the desired changes in Deep Funding Round 5. So the outcome of that work group will determine how the reviews will be done in Deep Funding Round 5. But for the RFP process, I've already been thinking about it a little bit. So what I really liked about Deep Funding Round 4 is this expert review process. So we had a lot of experts doing recommendations, and there was a great effort and with great result. Two things I didn't like so much about it in hindsight. First of all, a lot of recommended projects were not elected at the end of the day, awarded. But that's a little bit of a side topic. The other thing is that we had a lot of work being done by individual experts doing reviews that were never published in any way. So also the teams couldn't benefit from the feedback that was created by all these experts, because we decided to only publish the final outcome and then only the recommended ones. So for RFPs, we will do that a little bit different, is the idea. We will have expert reviews. Experts are really important. I will get back to that. We will build on that and try to improve that. But any expert will be able to make their review immediately on the platform, and it will become visible, but it will be anonymous. So nobody will be able to see who created that review. And we could have two stages there in the RFP process. I'll come back to that also later. Where you have a small team doing the first filtering, it would look a little bit like that. And then a wider group of experts being involved in the final selection. And I think they can use the same layout. So what you will be seeing here is these anonymous reviews, and then the result of the first smaller group as at the top as the total over the group rating. So everything is out in the open and everything is transparent and no information is being lost. So yeah, those are things I'm looking forward to see implemented in the process. But I'll tell you a little bit more in the next slides how this will be embedded in the rest of the process. Oh, a few things that we still need to do. There is an RFP committee. I will explain that. I would like the RFP committee to be able to view the full proposals when they come in the locked state. The idea was that I was told this was not possible yet, so the workaround would be an export function, which we already have. So we could use the export to inform the RFP committee. But actually, today, the development team surprised me by saying, I haven't seen it yet, but saying they might also have this feature in there. The other thing is that suppose that we have 10 proposals, and let's say for simplicity's sake, we go for the short track, and the team that is responsible for the RFP selects one proposal. Then you could ask, do we still need to publish all the proposals that didn't make it? What is the use of that? I mean, it would be a little bit like rubbing salt in the wound of those people that haven't been awarded. So we don't really have a function to work with that, but we can just simply unpublish those proposals in the backend if we want to have them hidden. So we have some options there. Right now, whether a proposal is locked or unlocked, hidden or partially or fully visible is related to phases. If you go to one phase change to another, the locked ones will become visible. So this would be a workaround to remove the ones that we think are not needed anymore. Small thing, small detail, but so there are some things to do. There are more things to do, and it won't be perfect at the first iteration for sure. But as you know, we will work on that and improve it over time. So then now to what is actually maybe, well, I think the showing you what is already underway and what you can expect in let's say half of August on deepfunding.ai is also a very significant part of this presentation, so that you're not completely surprised by that. But the community-driven, the total process is also a very important part. I don't think I have too many slides anymore, so we'll have a few slides and I will talk you through the process. But before I do, I would like to thank all the work group participants, Tommy, Ron, Ubio, Mayor, Kings. Special thank you for Tommy and Ron, because they were there on every meeting and really gave very valuable input. So thanks for that, guys. And it really helped me. It really helped me think and elaborate on this process. An old slide. This is one that I used before. So here is the approved RFP and submitted proposals, internal review. This is all what we talked about and what you could see in the screens that I showed before. So this is phase one. Phase two, community-driven RFPs start from idea to RFP creation to approval process, and then end with an approved RFP. And that's what we will be focusing on a little bit more. And that was also a large part of the focus, the RFP work group. So in Miro, I created this flow based on the discussions that we had. I won't, so this is just an overview. I don't expect you to read this, just to get an impression of what we're have been working on. Maybe I can show you a fragment of that later on. Before I go down into the process itself, I'd like to share a few things about the actors that are part of this process. So we have what we call a core RFP committee, and that will be me. That will be one very accomplished technical expert, like professor level, that is really in touch with the people in our organization. The same role that will always also be assigned to writing an AGI curriculum on university level. And they will help me to make sure that the RFPs are aligned with the tech stack of SingularityNET. I can imagine there will be one or two other members in that core committee, but we'll have to see. Originally, the thought was we would only have one RFP committee, but based on the success of the community experts and the enthusiasm of the community therein, we have now the idea that we can make dedicated committees for each RFP. That means that we can select people with a certain domain knowledge that is a good fit for the idea that is being developed into an RFP. And it also means that we don't always need to have the same faces, which would make it more centralized, but we can broaden that participation. Other roles are there for the all circles, also the all experts, and also all registered users. So one more, a little bit more elaboration on the all experts. I think the community experts, we will probably develop that in a separate circle. I see this as a very, very important part for deep funding going forward. So with the successful process of last round, we want to elaborate on that and make it even better. So we would like to have experts with different levels, and the top would be really top level. And based on the level and your specific domain knowledge, you would be assigned to certain tasks. So an expert that is already an expert but still beginning in the job might start as an expert like we saw in the previous round. So assess proposals in deep funding rounds. And what I can imagine is that we would select the best experts there and give them the job to be a reviewer of RFP proposals. And then we could have the best ones of those, and we could say, you will be able and be allowed to guide the process from ideation to RFP and then select the best proposals, be part of filtering the best proposals. So I think that makes it interesting for people who want to become an expert because there's a trajectory that you can go through. It will make it interesting for different levels of expert. If you're a really accomplished PhD, then we can put you right at a task that is most suited for you. And yeah, I think by doing so and working with that, so we will have a process for assessing new people coming in. We will have a process of maybe a kind of reputation-based process for experts, so that we, so that if you're doing good work and distinguish yourself, if I can say that, then you will get higher in that, not so much a hierarchy, but maturity level, I would say, or seniority level. So just as a separate message in this whole presentation, I really want to double down on that community expert format. I expect a lot of it from it, and we want to make it grow and improve and be a real catalyst for quality in deep funding. Now, and then this is the more or less the final slide. So let me take a sip of tea. So the basic idea, I called it a gated process before. You could also call it a funnel. Like we have a lot of ideas coming in at the top, but we funnel it down to RFP proposals, and then we'll funnel it down to development proposals, and then finally real development process. You could see it with a little bit of creativity as a funnel. While I was creating this slide, I noticed that it also has some characteristics of what is known as a double diamond, where you start with diverging, getting a lot of ideas, and then converge again and try to get the best idea. And then based on that best idea, you diverge again, creating iterations and variants, and then converge again. So we start with hopefully a lot of ideas. And then comes an important step. We originally thought not to make it too complicated and just have the best idea selected and award the owner of the idea and say, here, you can create an RFP. But we're doing it a little bit different right now. And this is also thanks to the discussions in the workgroup. First, we select the best idea, and the core RFP committee will make a first sub-selection of that. So these are a number of RFPs that are aligned with our strategy, that are technically feasible, that are differentiated enough, that are not yet duplicated by other projects that are already in progress, etc. So there are a lot of hygienic factors based on which we can already make a sub-selection of feasible and important enough ideas. Then in the second stage of that selection, the idea is to have the all circles involved. So everybody in the review circle, in the marketing circle, in the focus group, etc. And we have a few new circles these days. To help us make the final selection of which idea we want to put forward. I expect this is something that will be done with some regular intervals. I can imagine we'll do that maybe once a month, say. Could also be once every second week, but let's start with once a month. Then we will present that to the community. We'll say, well, we have this idea, and now we are inviting teams to create an RFP design proposal. So this is not an RFP, but this is like you also saw in Deep Funding Round 4. You could suggest it could be a one-pager where you elaborate on the original idea, and you would add things like, I will make an RFP, and I will work on the idea or use the idea in this and this way, and so there can already be some kind of variant of the idea, how you want to treat the idea in real life, what you want to do with it. And we will make an architecture diagram. We will do some market research for it. We will make some designs and screens or mock-ups or proof of concept or whatever you think is necessary for the RFP. And we expect it will take us 4 weeks to do this, and it will cost us 5K or 20K or whatever. And we will have a number, hopefully, we will have a number of these RFP design proposals coming in. It shouldn't take too much work, right? It's just a one-pager. You have to say what you're going to do and what the approach will be. Now, having more than one RFP design coming in is a huge help to the RFP committee. So, I forgot that. Once we have selected an idea, when we know what the topic of the idea is, we can also select from all the experts the dedicated RFP team. So we'll form an RFP committee out of the experts, and let's say we have 3 people forming that committee. Now, having multiple RFP design proposals will really help that committee because they can compare prices. They can say, oh, this one asks 40K and this one asks 5K. But then again, this one has more deliverables and some things that are really useful. So based on that information, they can get it into discussion with these proposals. They can select an awarded RFP design proposal that will be awarded to create the full RFP. But they can also borrow from the other ones. So they can say that other team had a really great idea for a marketing component or for a mock-up design or whatever. So they could say to the awarded team, listen, you asked 10K for these and these deliverables. We would really love it if you would add this deliverable to your design, to your RFP. And we understand that takes extra effort. So instead of 10K, we will offer you 15K. So those are the kind of conversations that will happen in that phase. So it will be a conversation. Now, we want to reward not only the RFP design proposal that is awarded for the whole trajectory. We want to give also the runners-up an award. So maybe the one that is awarded gets 5K for their effort and their ideas. And maybe the runner-up could get 3K, and maybe the 1 or 2 after that could get 1K. So even if you are not awarded for doing the whole definition, you will still be compensated for your ideas. And we feel that we need to do that because that will make it proper for us to also use some of these ideas in the winning RFP. So that will be a condition. If you put forward an RFP design proposal, we might be using your ideas in the final proposal, even if you're not awarded, but the best 3 or 4 or whatever will get some kind of award anyway. So that's the line of thinking. We might tweak this a little bit in details, but yeah, this is an important step. It will bring competition to the RFP process, and hopefully it will bring more ideas, and it will really help the RFP committee to do their work because they get more input and get more inspiration and so on. So we'll have then an RFP design awarded proposal, and that team will create the whole RFP. We might display it already online before it's fully finished. The RFP committee should approve it, so they can at the beginning they will have, so as in that conversation they will say, well, this is your reward, but these are the conditions. You have to do this in the RFP, and you have to create this, and you have to create this. So at the end of the track, they will assess the RFP for these conditions. And when they approve, then it's ready to be published. And before it can be published, we need to add budgets to that. And that is also where the core RFP committee comes into place to assign a proper budget to the things that needs to be developed in development space. Yeah, and the rest you know. So we'll have multiple RFPs coming in. And yeah, finally, one or multiple proposals will be awarded, etc. So yeah, I created, so these are the cutouts from my row. So here you see the ideas going to one topic that is selected. We have multiple RFP proposals. We will negotiate, or the RFP committee, the dedicated RFP committee will negotiate on the deliverables. They will select a team to create the RFP, and the budgets will be added. And then after that, there's a published RFP, proposals come in. The RFP committee will assess. Oh, that is another part of the process. I can use this slide to explain that a little bit, that I didn't fully explain yet. Our thinking is this. The RFP committee will first assess the stage. So do we have sufficient high quality proposals, yes or not? If we only have one and we want to have more, or if we have none, they have the option here to say, we'll put the RFP back into published state. And so I can imagine at the beginning when an RFP is published, we'll say, you have 3 weeks time to publish your proposal. At the end of three weeks, the committee will assess the incoming proposals. And then if they're not adequate, they can say, well, we'll put it back into submission for another 3 weeks. And they can then use those 3 weeks to publish that RFP on different channels, on Telegram, on Discord, on LinkedIn, or if they feel really adventurous, on Upwork or Fiverr or whatever. So they can get more exposure to the RFP and give it a second try. And then, yeah, if at some point there's still not good enough proposals, yeah, maybe the budget wasn't right, maybe the RFP wasn't right, maybe it's just not the right time. So there's an option that it could be parked after that or trashed, or they might make some changes and maybe change the budget and give it another try. So this is flexibility in the process. There are a lot of options there. Then if we go look at the extended process, where it's not the RFP committee that makes the final award, but we want to involve the wider committee. So this is still an important part to explain. Let's say that we have three RFP, a committee of 3 people in the RFP committee. What we can do, there's an option to invite a few after doing this first assessment, and we're saying we're now going to the next phase. There is the option we can publish all the RFPs at that time, and we can create a small expert group. And this small expert group would usually consist, I imagine, of the RFP committee itself, or at least most of the people. But there's also an option to invite 1 or 2 or 3 other experts that will help do a proper assessment. So that maybe we'll have 5 people doing an assessment. And we can use the review process as I showed before on the screenshot. So all anonymized reviews and a group review. So let's say that we start with 10 proposals. The RFP committee will say, well, there are a few good ones here, so let's go to the next stage. The RFP committee will invite 2 more experts to have an expert group. We will publish all the 10 proposals, and then the RFP committee will do an assessment of all these proposals. You will see that online, everybody will see that online. And then we'll say any proposal, what metric we will have there is not yet defined, but simplified, we could say every proposal above 4 or 5 stars will be going to the next stage. I'm tempted to explain a complex one, but I think you're already overloaded with the information right now. And at that stage, the wider community, all community experts would be invited to give their opinion on the 4. Let's say there are 4 that go to the next stage. And then all the experts would be invited to give their recommendation on these 4. And that will create the final awarded proposal. So we don't need a voting portal for that. We are not interested in your token balance. We only want to know that we have a large enough group of community experts that can do a proper assessment of these proposals. And the good thing about this community expert thing, which I forgot to tell, is that it's open for everybody. Any community member that is interested in doing expert reviews can apply to become a community expert. We will have some guidelines there, and not everybody might be admitted. So we will have some quality standards, but it's open for everybody. And if you have the right background and expertise, etc., you can become, and anybody in the community can become a community expert. So in that way, it's still a representation of the wider community, but we are really aiming for expertise and quality here. So it's a 2-stage process. Go to the next stage, have a smaller team of experts, rate the incoming proposals, do a sub-selection, then have the wider group of all experts do the final selection. And I can imagine that if we have 50 community experts, that maybe 20 of them will not vote or rate the proposals because they're on holiday or are very busy, or because it's an RFP that just doesn't speak to them, that, yeah, they have nothing to say about. But then there are a few that might have something to say about it, and they can give their perspective. In the first stage, going back to this screen, yeah. So in a first stage, so this would be all experts voting on the final pre-selected proposals. That first selection would be manually entered by somebody we assign as the team lead. In the next stage, there is an opportunity here to have weighted ranking. So if you either have very good domain knowledge, for instance, or if you have more seniority and proven expertise, maybe your vote will have a higher weight in the final selection process than a more junior community expert. So, yeah, this is basically the process that we're aiming at. This part will be online pretty soon. What will be ready, I'm not sure if we will do the short track and the medium track or extended track at the same time, or if we will first start with the short track and then add the extended track a month later or something. That remains to be seen. But this is all something that's going quickly. And about the other part, the whole community-driven thing, starting with ideation, a lot of development still needs to be done there. So going back to this screen. Oh, by the way, I forgot. I imagine that if we have a large number of ideas, any community member, so first of all, any community member, no, any registered person on deepfunding.ai can submit an idea. So there are basically no restrictions. Anybody can register themselves, and when you're registered, you can submit an idea. I imagine that we will have some community guidance by upvoting or downvoting, like no, I can't think of the site name right now, but and we also have it in Deep Funding, so you can easily downvote and upvote an idea, so that the ideas that are liked most by the community will float to the top. But that will be a signal. That will not be a decisive thing. So it's not that the one that is most upvoted will win, because it might not be aligned with the strategy. It might not be the most urgent thing, or it might be a great idea, but maybe 3 months ago we had the same idea and it's also already being in development. So that will be up to the RFP committee and also all circles to make the final decision. But the community can indicate which ones they appreciate most. And of course, the other entities will take that into consideration. So yeah, my voice is going out, so I think it's about time that I stop here. Any questions here on this process? I'll take a sip of tea.
As it expected, the first competition in the style may be held.
Sorry, Ken, I couldn't quite follow you.
When will the first iteration of this process take place, the first competition?
Yeah, so okay. News flash, I heard today or yesterday a colleague of mine saying that they are working on 12 or even 13 OpenCog Hyperon related RFPs. So that was above and beyond my expectation, that it's being worked on that fast and there's so much going on. Now, I don't know if we will publish them all at the same time or if we'll do that and put a little bit time in between. We'll have to see. That's the nice thing of this process, right? We have full agency when we want to publish them. We're aiming right now for half of August. Also talked with the platform team about 2 RFPs. One about migration of the platform to Cardano is being worked on, ideated on. The other one might be a new SDK in the Go language. So that's a very technical RFPs. So these are also the kind of things that you can expect. And I don't know what the OpenCog Hyperon RFPs will be. We're also internally having some ideas about RFPs. So for instance, another work group is ideating on what we now call collaboration portal. So we have deepfunding.ai right now. We will have the community website, let's say start of September. And we are working on something which we call collaboration portal. We used to call it jobs and collaboration. We still might have jobs there, but it's very lightweight. It's really about collaboration. Think about it, I always say, like a new Web3 SingularityNET version of LinkedIn, something like that. So that will take time. That won't be there tomorrow, but we might be starting with an RFP. So we are ideating right now. We are thinking, we have a designer also thinking about the first direction, and maybe for the next step we could create an RFP to have the community also work on that part of our portal. So another example how we can use Deep Funding as an outsourcing portal also for these kind of things.
The idea of a hub like that is intriguing, and I think from my perspective, would help acquaint myself with the real depth of skill and knowledge and talent of the community. Whereas right now I tend to perceive it through the town halls.
Sorry, I don't quite, I'm a little bit slow, I think, tonight.
Oh.
So
No, well, me too, and I've only had 1 coffee. So the idea of a SingularityNET LinkedIn style hub might encourage, from my perspective, more connection and understanding of the real depth of skill and knowledge and activity of the community.
Yeah, so it should be supportive to a lot of things. So we have a lot of ideas going on there. We're also aiming to pretty senior developers there, not only junior people, but really serious developers. It might also tie into presence in hackathon, that we want to have an area there. If you have a hackathon, that people can connect there. Yeah, there are a lot of ideas. So we want to move out. We want to do a lot of things. Getting developer activity in is important. Connecting with the open source world might be an important part of that. So, but this will be stages in development. So we're thinking now the big idea, and maybe the way I'm thinking right now is that the first RFP there would be more about a more detailed design and trying to get in some different ideas from people, because I really want to, I'm also currently in our process there, we want to open up the minds of people and not think, oh, we need to make a clone of LinkedIn or we need to make a clone of Upwork. No, think about what we can do and what it can be. And then probably it will be way too ambitious. And then we'll face it and start with an MVP and build on that. But we'll have a vision like we had with Deep Funding when we started. And if I look where we are today with Deep Funding, I could never have defined all that 2 years ago. You have to go and learn, and that's a bit of a design thinking principle, right? Where you iterate, you make something, you evaluate, you take the best part, and then you iterate on that. So yeah, we're doing that with Deep Funding, and I'm very, very excited about this RFP process that we will leverage, and also all the things happening in the background on the organizational front. So I'm not sure if apart from you, Ken, there's anybody else here who's still awake. I don't see many people on video, unfortunately. So is there anybody else who has any question, remark, suggestion? Ubio is awake. Thank you, Ubio.
Yeah, I was putting the emoji to let you know that I'm awake.
I appreciate it. And otherwise, yeah, we can call it a night. It's about time as well. So I hope you liked it. I hope you're as enthusiastic as I am about all the things that are to come. So you can see, even there's no round going on, we're really working hard in the background. We're working on tooling. This is part of the tooling. We're working also very hard on organizational improvements, creating additional circles like we are. So we had a form for recruiting people for the analytics circle. And we got, I think, 13 last time I looked, submissions, really good ones. So in the next week or so, we'll be inviting a few people and then get that going. We're starting to have a dedicated operations circle. We are already automating the contract creation. There's a lot of work done, which you also know, on the review process. So we're really going ahead there. And yeah, these community experts, that will also be a very important ingredient for the deep funding of the future. So I think if we do this properly, it will really set us up for a very good position, also in the wider area of ASI with our partners. So I hope this RFP will take off. We'll create an outsourcing portal function next to what we already do in deep funding, and we will make deep funding also very attractive to our partners that way. And that's really all I have to say. Now I really shut up.
Hi, Jan. Thank you. Sorry, I was driving, so I turned off my camera.
Safety.
Yeah, sorry. It was very interesting, and actually we're planning to do like an RFP workshop in Spanish for the LATAM, so that was very useful. I will watch the recording probably later.
Yeah, great. So knowing where we are today, I showed you a lot already. I won't show you the screens of the community website yet, but I think that's also important. I hope in the community website we will be able to see on one calendar the Latin town halls, the Portuguese ones, the Spanish ones, the regular ones, and other events that are being organized. So everybody has a single source of truth there. But since it will be a number of weeks before we put that live, we also have some time to give a proper presentation of that. So I'll keep you waiting for that, and yeah, we'll be presenting that the next time.
Yeah, great.
You have your hand up. Yeah, thank you for the question, Ines, and the remark. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it. Ayo.
Yes, thank you, Ian. That was very good, very exciting. I just want to say that I am awake and that I followed through, and also to say that people should expect to hear from our Lumio to drop their feedback to this new RFP process. And
yeah, well, I'm interrupting you here because that's for the Circle members, right? That's not for the whole community, but Lumio is a decision tool for Circle members.
Yes. All right. I just saw that there were Circle members there, but that's
Most
fine.
of us here are Circle members, I would say, so no harm done, but just to manage expectations. Also because this is being recorded. So it might be maybe a lot of people will be now looking for Lumio and they won't have a login yet. But yeah, so that's the way that the decision process works these days in Deep Funding. We're experimenting with that a little bit. First, we have the work group. So in a smaller group setting, we are doing what we showed you today and making that proposal. We then have an opportunity to discuss it with the wider all circles and get more feedback if there is. And then if there are no objections, strong objections, and maybe helped by some constructive feedback, yeah, we are all set to making this a reality. So if you want to be part of the decision process around all these things, including Lumio, you have to become a Circle member. And we're expanding, not endlessly, but we are right now at a stage where we are expanding a little bit. For instance, data analytics. So there are opportunities. And actually also the new community website will make applying for positions as a Circle member a lot easier as well. Anything else? Then let's call it a night, a day, a morning, I don't know, wherever you are. And I wish you a great day and looking forward to see you in a couple of weeks on the new RFP process, portal and maybe submitting some great proposals there. Thank you.